Falling is a song that we recorded a couple months ago. We wrote it a couple years ago, I think. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and the song was kind of done, and the intro always seemed a little, had like a different drum beat. And it always just seemed wrong. It seemed like it should kind of creep up on you. And I remember kind of a big epiphany in the studio was the toms that kind of come into these delayed toms that kind of feels like, at least for us, we wanted it to sound exciting, like something was going to happen. So I remember when we decided to have kind of some delayed toms, kind of gave that vibe, and it kind of made the song how we wanted it to be. That's kind of like a moment I remember in the studio. I think we wrote the song at a time when we were, you know, playing around LA and nothing was really happening. You know, we were, you know, performing at random venues in LA, and, you know, had to kind of beg our friends to come to our shows. And I think we kind of wrote it as a, you know, stay strong kind of
cheerleading song
for ourselves.
Forever is on the first EP that we ever released. It started out as a halftime song, it was like cut time. It was like kind of like, how would you describe it?
It was slower.
It was a little slower. And we kind of always thought of it as kind of an up-tempo, upbeat song.
We wanted it to be that way.
Yeah, we wanted it to be that way. And we brought it to our producer, Ludwig Göransson, and we basically just experimented with it for basically a couple weeks, and finally came up with this like party jammer. I think that's like my favorite song to play live.
Yeah.
And I think that listening back to that song, it's the first time that we heard a song that we recorded and didn't cringe. Because at the time we'd recorded a million times and hated everything we recorded, and it was the first time that we'd recorded something that we were really proud of. So that song holds a very special place in our hearts, I think.
Yeah, and Forever was going to be thrown away. We weren't going to use it. We had met Ludwig randomly, and he just said, give me any song that you want. We'll just see if we work together, you know, well. And we had thrown away this song called Forever. We had been playing it live. It wasn't really getting any good reactions. We had basically thrown it away. We hadn't even thought about it in months. And we said, okay, well, we have just this song Forever. We've always wanted it to be kind of this upbeat party jam, but we could never really do it. We just never really figured it out. And I think Ludwig was kind of up for the challenge. We kind of he just said, forget about everything you've done live and let's just start fresh. And we did that, and weeks later we were like, cool, we shouldn't have done that song live.
The Why is one of the oldest songs that we kind of play in our set. We wrote it in 2008. I think that was kind of the hardest song to perfect in the studio, because we'd recorded it over 10 times and in the 4 years that it had been written. And we kind of decided to start that towards the end of the record making process, just because it was such a emotional task trying to record it, since we had recorded it so many times. And we still spent like a good month or two getting it right, but I think it was worth it, and I think we finally got it in the end. It was like 5 years in the making.
It felt right. It felt right.
I think it's just about following your heart, really, you know, and really, sometimes the best decisions are also the hardest decisions. So, you know, YOLO, you only live once, right?
If I Could Change Your Mind kind of started out as a jam.
Yeah.
We were in the studio with James Ford, and we were really deeply into the recording kind of vibe for the record.
Kind of burnt out at this, was kind of the point in the studio we were kind of burnt out, and I think we were like, let's just write something new, you know. And
we didn't want to, we had been recording the songs we had been playing live, which is also was an amazing experience, but I think we just kind of needed a break from, you know, playing things that we knew. James was up, you know, for doing anything. He just really wanted to, you know, try something, and we don't really write with other people, so it was kind of just like a party in the studio. We kind of just didn't care. We just let go, and I think we wrote that song in a day, which was really cool. And James is like the best person in the studio because he's always so happy and so up for doing crazy things and putting in weird sounds and really fit who we were. And If I Could Change Your Mind was awesome to record. I think that was the funnest.
Hardest bass line ever.
Yeah, hardest bass line.
Doing that.
As he was like sweating, I was like blotting her head like a doctor. Just like scalpel.
Yeah, no pick use. No pick needed.
Oh yeah,
All these.
I use a pick.
All
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
Honey and I is one of our older songs. We just wrote it kind of all sitting around with a guitar. It's one of the more guitar-based songs on the record, and that was one of the songs that it was one of the songs that we kind of like sat down and decided, we hadn't written in a long time, and
I think we hadn't really written on a guitar. For
in a really long time. We had just been writing from drums and drum machines and different drum tracks that we had made from banging on stuff around a room and recording it. But we decided we kind of wanted to write a simple kind of guitar song because we hadn't in a while, and that's what kind of came out. I think that was a happy time and in a relationship.
Not necessarily our own, but
Yeah.
the story. It's a happy one.
Don't Save Me was the first song we had recorded after the Forever EP kind of came out, and it was kind of a scary time for us because when we put out the Forever EP, we honestly put it out just for our friends. We put it on the internet for free because we didn't want to charge money for something that, we just randomly put together. We honestly put out the Forever EP because we wanted to prove to ourselves that we could record because we had been
And get
banned.
our friends to shut up.
Yeah, we were like,
you're a band
you're
for
never
5
going to
years
put out
and
music.
haven't put out anything.
It's time to go. Time
job.
to put something out. So once the Forever EP came out, we got this, got to go to tour in London and stuff like that. And so finally we were like, oh, we should probably record more. And we got into the studio with James Ford. That's when we met him. We literally met him the day that we got into the studio. There wasn't really a plan, which is so on us. We are
Usually we do a lot of pre-production before we go into the studio, just because we figured out that's kind of how it worked. And we had a demo for Don't Save Me, but there were not a lot of lyrics, and that was kind of the freshest thing we wrote at the time. And we were just kind of so excited to try and put it to tape. And we were really excited to work with James Ford just because we were huge fans of Sylvia Mobile Disco and Arctic Monkeys and Florence and the Machine. So we did it. We actually recorded it really fast and kind of like a straightforward recording, kind of just us in a room jamming.
My Song 5, if any Mac users know GarageBand, when you start a song on GarageBand, the first thing that comes up, you have to name your song, and the first
Which is
thing
pretty
that comes
daunting
up,
because if you're trying to write a song, you don't really know what it's called yet.
you're like, this is my song.
Yeah.
It's my song.
We
just
the
press
first one
enter.
is My Song 1, and if you don't have My Song 2, and this My Song 5 demo ended up being what is on the record, and we used some of the sounds from the original demo, but it just kind of started out as a random demo of a couple different ideas that kind of ended up forming the song later on. The MIDI
Womp, womp,
horn
womp.
that
Yeah,
you hear on the actual song is a GarageBand sound of just a horn section. It's called horn section. And you just kind of go down the octave and that's the sound. So, on our record we actually did use a lot of GarageBand sounds because we just kind of like the way it sounds.
It's a great program.
Great program,
If you're
user-friendly.
listening, Mac, we would really
We
like
love
the
GarageBand.
new version would be awesome to
new
just kind of
plugins.
receive in a mail.
The Mac
package.
Fairy. If you
Yeah.
want to visit us when we're sleeping, I would
Put it
be
under my
down.
pillow.
But yeah, My Song 5 I think that was we were kind of out of our comfort zone with that one. Ariel, with Ariel, we just kind of had fun. We kind of really didn't think about it too much. It was just if we liked the sound, we put it on there. And
The whole thing was kind of random. That's why we just ended up keeping it as just demos.
And we couldn't change the name. It had to
Yeah.
be My Song 5. It had to be. We would never change that. Go Slow.
Go Slow was on our first
Our
EP.
first EP. It's like so weird to talk about these songs because I remember writing them. Go Slow, we had this guitar part, the dun 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 dun. That's my impression of it. We had that as a loop for I think a year before we started writing to it because we didn't really know how the melody would go. And before the Go Slow we have now, we had a whole other song that was completely different, had a completely different melody to it. And I think the hardest thing for a songwriter is to, I mean, at least for us, is to revisit songs, because when you write a whole song, you kind of think it's done. And with that song, we
just knew it could be better.
Yeah, we knew it could be better.
Yeah, so we kind of rewrote the whole melody. The first melody, it kind of was in line with some of the stuff that we write. It was very kind of complicated and start-stop and very percussive, and we realized like the song just kind of needs to breathe, and so we wrote kind of like a more melodic verse and different chorus, and now that's Go Slow reborn.
Yeah.
Let Me Go is again one of we've been playing that song for the past almost 4 years, I think, and it kind of came about because we wanted a kind of a up-tempo kind of drumming song, because we all kind of play drums on stage, and we wanted something that we could just kind of like, I guess, be tribal with and
bang on with.
Yeah, I think we usually end the show with that song now, but the recorded version has a couple cool samples in it, and kind of like a marimba sound and guitar solo.
Yeah. Wow, wow.
Running to Call My Name was the last song that we wrote, I guess.
Of our
record. That was kind of the one that we didn't know if we were going to finish it because the lyrics weren't done, but for some reason we were in this amazing studio called Vox, and we were like, what was that song? Like that song that we just wrote a couple weeks ago, like should we try that? Like it's not really done, and we kind of had this vocal loop, the hey, ho, 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 and we just kind of reverbed it out, and for some reason, every time we play it, it just felt like, wait, I think we have something here. It turned out to be, I think, one of our favorite songs on the record, and it closes the record. And
all of our songs, I mean, it's way up for interpretations. Our songs are definitely not about one person, about one thing.
Usually they're about 3 or 4 different stories that kind of simultaneously weirdly happen. I think in our lives we have this weird thing where something will happen to us, but it'll also happen to our friend at the same time, and then they'll be like, yeah, and this also happened to this person. So we have a lot to kind of draw from. I don't know, maybe it's magnetism or something. Maybe is that what it is? Magnets?
Maybe.
Trying to get scientific with it. But yeah, I think that, when we're writing, that's kind of the fun thing about when we write together is like, we get to share stories with each other and, share our friends' stories with each other and things that we read about and, things that we see, and even like little things that we hear walking down the street, people talking, we like eavesdropping, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
We're eavesdroppers, Sorry guys. I already wrote a song about everything that happened in this room today, so.
It's all there.
It's all here.
The VH1 day song.
Yeah. My Day at 15:15, that's what it's called.
Or
welcome.
My Day. It's called My Day, and then in parentheses, at 15:15.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Love the parentheses.
That's my favorite.